Hello and welcome to Core Bike Chat, another episode of us lovely cycling enthusiasts talking junk. No, we have a guest down today, so we're going to talk about a bit about women's cycling, balancing life, uni, sport, and some barriers and challenges for women, not only riding out on the road, but also in bikes in general and cycling in general.
Definitely, because there are some, and it'd be really important to know what those are, and we need to raise awareness of it, and we need to hear from some real life people with some real life stories. So I'm really excited that Libby from Exeter University Cycling Club is coming down to join us in a bit.
Yeah, and after that, it'll be back to just me and John chatting junk about Rouleur, where we spent the weekend.
Did we spend the whole weekend at Rouleur though, or did we spend the whole weekend travelling, walking around London looking for Rouleur?
We may have spent more time walking around London
than we needed to.
Yeah, following the sat nav for the walk from the car park to the travel lodge on the driving route. I did wonder why we were walking down like a main road, but we'll get onto that after. So we'll have Libby down and then we'll chat Rouleur and go from there.
So over to Libby. Who's going to sit here? Today in the studio we have Aidan King, as always, myself, John Underhill, but more importantly, we'd like to welcome Libby from the Exeter University Cycling Team. Libby, welcome. First of all, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, really pleased you've come down to see us, and we're excited to ask you some questions and welcome you to the podcast.
Yeah.
And have a chat.
Yeah.
General chit chat like we normally do, and someone to have to deal with me and you chatting rubbish.
Yeah. So, Libby, tell us a bit about yourself. You're at Exeter University?
Yeah, so I'm third year history student. I'm the captain of the cycling team there. It's great fun. I have a lot of fun with them. We're a pretty big club for a cycling club. There's about 70 of us, and we like to go out and do a variety of stuff like MTB, road cycling. There's a little group of us who like to do gravel as well. Track team. So yeah, load of us.
So you said you're a third year student. So did you start in year one, or did you?
Yeah, so I've been in Exeter for 3 years. Had second year here. It's been great fun. Been in the club for 3 years.
So how, I'm kind of going to skip on a bit, but so how did you get into cycling? Obviously doing history and cycling are like two completely different things. And like me myself would just assume that people in a university cycling club kind of got into that through studying sport. But obviously
it obviously with Freshers Week and stuff, there's a load of taster stuff happening, and that's kind of how I got into it. I went to about 10 different clubs, and I tried out climbing and random stuff like that. And cycling, my family had been doing it for a couple of years. I've been away with them to France and stuff and cycled around there. And I just had my bike with me, and I was like, I may as well give it a go, see what I like about it. And I went on a women's ride actually, which was really, really nice. It was a really relaxed environment, and I was like, I really like this. So I just kind of kept going with it. And actually, to be fair, most of the club aren't in sport at all. A lot are in physics and engineering. They go on about aero stuff a lot, and I'm there I have no idea what you're going on about. But there is some people who do sports science, but it's a wide mix of people from all different subjects doing it.
It's quite nice to hear that it's inclusive, depending on, it doesn't rely on you doing a certain subject. And it's talking of inclusive, it's nice that you got into it for a woman-only ride, because, especially down this way, and people that I race with sort of always go on about how women's racing is still, for the bigger events, mixed in with the men's, and, especially the way the cycling world is at the minute, we're trying to promote women's cycling and all that. So the fact that you got into it through a women's ride is good.
There's a good there's good few girls around this year, and there has been for the past couple of years, and I think we've had at least 3 girls on committee of the cycling club for the past couple of years, which I think has been really, really good, just for people to see that we have those girls around and into cycling and actually really enjoying it, and it just not being men all the time. And like for me, it's really important. Me and the women's road captain this year have been working really hard to make sure that we have women's rides pretty regularly, so people get into it. And yeah,
good to hear.
Yeah, no, really good. It's interesting, just to hear how it's going, because we all think we know what's going on based off what you read or what you see in Aidan's own experience of racing, and actually asking someone that's involved is quite often not what we do across the broad spectrum of everything in life. So it's really good to hear from your experience and that you're pushing it and making sure. So is there people in the club? Obviously, you're in your 3rd year now. So when you're not in your 3rd year and you move on, is there more women coming up through, or more ladies coming up through to take over?
Yeah, I think there definitely is. I think we've had quite a few this year that are first year or like second year, so can take over that role as well, which is really, really good. I think the main people on committee are leaving, but hopefully there'll be people to replace them, and just make sure that we keep going with that kind of inclusive environment, because I think it is really important. And like if it hadn't been there for me in first year, I probably wouldn't have got into cycling as much as I have. Yeah. So I do think it is really important to have. And I think our women's ride this year, like the one that we had in the first week, was the biggest that it's been in years. There was about 12 of us on it, so there was like a massive like group, and we were really, really happy to see that many girls wanting to get into it. Yeah.
Is it a so the club itself, is it a university only thing? So is it you have to be a student at Exeter Uni?
You have to be a student. We have had lecturers come along and stuff as well, so it kind of like affiliated to the uni. But honestly, it is mostly just students, some PhD students as well. Yeah, I think it's just because of like we have like the socials as well, and I think older people don't really want to come along to a uni social. Not that ours are like wild or anything. We're mostly just having a chat at the pub, but it's just not really what some people want. But yeah,
I guess it's quite nice to have. Obviously, you would have your friends on your history degree, and they would have friends on their subjects. So it's quite nice to have that one thing in common where you can bring different students from different subjects. And
yeah, I mean, like I've met some people that I probably would never have spoken to in my life. Or yeah, like my boyfriend, for example, we met through the cycling club. He's an engineer. I would never have spoken to an engineer in my life. I just, it's a completely different world to me. We talk about some things and I'm like, I have no idea what you're going on about. But yeah, it's very useful to have around, because if I ever break something on my bike, I just kind of pass it off to him, like, please fix. But
I do that with John.
You do. Your bike is once again in the studio today. More work.
At least it's fixed now.
Yeah, hopefully, till the next time. So what really caught your imagination with cycling? What was the thing that made you go, this is for me?
I think it's just, half the time it's the views. Like, getting up early in the morning and going on like a ride when the sun's rising, especially at this time of year, when it's like it can be 9 o'clock and the sun's rising. It's just beautiful. And I just love looking at nature and all that scenery and stuff, and just kind of getting away from life for a while. I think for me, it's kind of like just a relaxing, like no stress. Half the time when I've got like an essay due for history, I go out on my bike and I just sit there and think and work out exactly what I want to say in it. And then I get back and I'm like, right, I can write this essay now. And I just find it really helpful in terms of just that kind of mental health helping kind of thing. But yeah, I just think it's amazing sport. So.
Yeah, I guess for a lot of us, it is an escape. Like, so I'm studying with the OU. I'm doing, funny enough, not history, but I'm doing a sport degree. But it is that time to just get away from your laptop, get away from your textbooks, and just not think about anything. I know it sounds weird because we're always thinking, but to just get lost with the outdoors, and then I find when you do come back, you are you settle down and you can just get on with it. But the important question that I think quite a few people will have with someone that's at uni, and also especially at uni full time and cycling, like, how do you balance it all?
I mean, sometimes I'm not very good at it, but most of the time I just kind of structure my day, plan it out exactly what I want. At the moment, it is kind of just going on shorter rides, but also kind of because of the weather the sun setting earlier, I try to go out in the morning and then just work later into the night. But I always make sure that I get to bed early as well. So sometimes there is just not enough hours in the day, but you've got to find them somehow. And I think for history, there's not a lot of, I don't have to be in campus a lot. A lot of it's private studying at home, or I'm just reading stuff. So I don't have to, I can do that whenever I want, really, which does help with the cycling stuff. I can go out on my bike when it's the weather's looking nice. So that is a positive. But I just kind of take each day as it comes and hope that I've planned out enough to give myself enough time to do everything.
It's funny you say this time of year it's mostly shorter rides. You've done a 200-kilometre ride on the weekend.
Well, obviously it's November, so that means it's Movember as well. And the club has always done something big, and this year we decided we're going to do 3 big things instead of just the one usual one. And you can't really do Movember at any other time of the year, so we had to do it this month. And yeah, it was a bit insane, but I knew that was coming, so I planned around it. But yeah, it was a really, really good ride. And I think we planned it out very well in that the really hilly bit was right in the middle of the day. So then we had a nice flat start when it was dark, and then kind of a flat finish when it was getting dark again. So it was, really good ride. But
Am I right in thinking there was also a shorter ride on another weekend?
Yes, so there was 100k as well, which went out to Haytor, and because it was for our more casual riders, a lot of them it's the first time they'd done 100 kilometres, and it was their first time up Haytor as well. So that was a really big thing for them, and I think they enjoyed a nice stop at Cafe 360 as well.
Best cafe around.
Yeah, I love that cafe. It's so good.
I've spent many hours sat there.
Yeah. So I think they had a really good time, and then obviously the really big one was the 200 miles, which I know that you did as well.
Yeah, we touched on that in the last episode.
It was, I think, insane for them. They set off at 4:00 in the morning, and yeah. They had a support car with them just in case anything went wrong, which for one guy, he had to go to the bike shop at one point because his cable snapped or something. I'm not really sure, but they got it fixed and he got back on the road. Yeah, it was huge. And I think it's bigger than the past couple of years have been as well. I know last year they cycled from Exeter to London, but it was probably just slightly longer, but the elevation was under half of the elevation of the one they did last week, because that was 5,000 meters of elevation. And I think that was what killed them in the end. When they got back, they were like, "Oh, I'm so dead." But yeah, and the support car, the lady who did the support car made them race up the final little hill back up to the forum at the university.
I saw that on Instagram.
Yeah, she was like, "You can go faster than that." And I was like, "Oh, bless them, they were just so dead." But yeah.
Yeah, having ridden that route, it was very it was a very hilly route anyway, but it was very hill loaded at the start, Porlock to Linton, Lynmouth to Valley of the Rocks, up to Ilfracombe is not a very nice route. Because I remember I messaged you for the route, and I got it through, and I was like, oh my god. But I guess at least it got a little bit easier as it went.
Yeah. I think they liked the end, mainly because it was over. But yeah, it was. I honestly I can't even imagine doing that distance or that elevation. I looked at the profile and I was like, yeah, good luck.
I'm going to do the 200k one.
Yeah.
So by the sounds of it, a very good month raising money for Movember.
Yes.
Do you have a rough
It was.
estimate?
I just checked. It was about £1,800 that we've raised so far. I think hopefully we'll get a few more in as people share it around a bit more.
Yeah.
I know that a couple of people who did the 200-kilometre one hadn't shared it around yet. So I'm hoping. Our goal was 1,500, so we have already smashed that. So we're really, really happy. And yeah.
I know. Well, this will be on Friday, so I'll leave a link in the description down below to the fundraiser, and hopefully we can chip in some more for all the 5 viewers that we probably have.
That's me, you, me and you.
Yeah.
And you again.
Yeah.
So you did the shorter route.
Yeah, so I did 200k, which kind of we went up to Ilfracombe and then back down to Exeter and then down to Exmouth, so kind of like a coast to coast. The Ilfracombe bit was horrible in terms of hills. I remember we split into 2 groups just to make it easier. So there was like 6 of us and a 4 as well. So I got a message through from the other group being like, we've just stopped in Coombe Martin and like we planned to stop in Ilfracombe, and we got to where they'd stopped and I looked at like the next 100 metres and it was like a really steep hill, and I was like, no, we're continuing on. I'm not stopping at the bottom of this hill. So that bit was a bit rough, but then we had a nice chip stop in Barnstable. It was much needed, I think, at that point.
Definitely got to be done. Obviously, we're talking about events that you've been doing like this month, but being a local cyclist, as I was saying off camera, I've seen the Exeter Uni kit sort of all year round, whether it's at sportives or racing or knowing a few people in the club. And I know that you were hosting Mamhead Hill Climb this year, which unfortunately got cancelled.
Yeah.
But for someone like me that enters these events, I go on CTT website, I pay my £13 or whatever it is, and I turn up, I do the event, we cheer everyone on, and then we go home. But there's a lot more that goes into it than just that, I assume, for organising an event.
Yeah, there's a lot of paperwork, I won't lie. And it's just emailing a lot of people to be like, can we use your village hall for headquarters, and like emailing the district people being like, oh, can we put this event on, and then they have to approve it and all of that. And there's like risk assessments, and you've got to notify the police if you're doing like a hill climb as well. So there is a lot of work that goes into it, and then making sure on the day that you've got like all like the first aid stuff set out and like signs and everything. It's very chaotic, and it was a bit. I've jumped in a bit at the deep end, I think, with the hill climb. I was like, this will be so simple, I think. And honestly, the paperwork was absolutely fine. It was then like the day before where I was like, I haven't done that or that or that. And I was like, oh no. But yeah, unfortunately it did have to get cancelled. The road surface that day, we drove up it just to check it out. And it was like, at one point you couldn't see the tarmac because of the amount of like water and leaves and like acorns, I think, that had just like fallen onto the ground. And it was like, going up potentially, like people would have been okay, but coming down again to get back to the HQ, it would have been horrendous. But yeah, we went, then had to cancel it obviously, and then all of the uni people had already left to start cycling down, so we had to wait and tell them that it was cancelled. But luckily we had like tea, coffee and hot chocolate and stuff, so in the village hall they had little kitchens, we made them hot chocolate and then sent them on their way.
I was going to say, because I was entered and I was loading up the car and I was about to leave, and I was like, oh okay. But yeah, I suppose if you're riding out, then
they didn't see it, or a couple of them just didn't see it. yeah. So
Yeah, it's a shame because Mamhead is those you love Mamhead, don't
It's
you?
great hill.
It's been missing off the hill climb calendar for quite a few years. I think Mid Devon done it like 2019 or something. But are you? Is it some? Obviously, will you be involved with the cycling club much next year? Will you be doing it next year?
well, it depends what I do, which is still up in the air. But yeah, if I'm still around, I'll definitely be involved in it, and hopefully we can put on Mamhead again. But like obviously, we have a load of other races as well, which we put on throughout the year. So hopefully they'll be as good, and we won't have to cancel them. But yeah, hopefully we can get a hill climb back on the calendar next year.
Be sure to enter.
Yeah. So who decides what you do? Is that the committee, or is that based off of historically you've always done X, Y, and Z, so we're going to try and do that again?
So half of it is like historically we've done certain things like the West Point crits. We do those pretty much every year. So it's just making sure those go ahead. They're pretty much all in place already. We just like email West Point and be like, we'd like to host it on this day, and then yeah, that gets sorted. But this year we've had Travis, who's in the club. He's really into like organising races and stuff, and I think he's like really keen to get the club into organising races as well. So he's been a driving force behind making sure that we're putting races on, which is really, really nice. So we've got a cross race coming up in a couple of weeks' time on the 1st of December, I think it is. So yeah, he's helped organise that, and because that's now in place, like there's like a risk assessment and stuff there, it means it's kind of makes it easier for us to then do it again and again and again. And yeah, I think that's the only extra. No, we've got a evening crit series as well, I think, happening as well. So yeah.
And forgive me, but those are events that anyone can enter. You
Yeah.
don't have to be part of Exeter University.
No, yeah, literally anyone.
So where would we go if we wanted to find out?
British cycling. I can't remember for the cross. I cannot remember for the cross race, but all of like the West Point crits are always
British cycling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you do any more local advertising of it, or was it just through British cycling?
We always put it on the Instagram and
Yeah.
a couple of Facebook groups. So yeah.
What's the uni cycling Instagram?
That is a really good question. I actually
Should have checked that off.
I think it's Exeter Uni Cycling Club.
I'll put a link in the description.
I can't remember.
On the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Aidan we'll find the link and we'll put it in so people know where to go if they're interested in seeing what's going on and what you guys are up to. I think that's really important to know.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware of certain things going on. I mean, I work in the industry. I'm not aware of all things that are going on, so it's really good to know. And
It's because you don't spend hours on social media like me, John.
there's a very good reason for that too.
You're busy with working on.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
When you say Travis, is that Travis Bramley?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say he's very good at
Yeah.
advertising and
Yeah.
promoting events, and a very good cyclist in
Yeah,
himself as well.
yeah.
So he'd be a good one to have on the show, actually.
Yeah.
I'll put it on the list.
He is really great. He's definitely helped me a lot this year, and he helped Harriet last year, who's the president as well. Because both of us two don't really have that racing background, so it's helpful to just have someone who kind of understands what's going on a lot more. Otherwise, I think it would have been like a bit in the dark when it came to the West Point crits, particularly. And I know they happen, and I've helped out at them, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens before the day.
Yeah, I guess that's like most people that even enter them, like, talk about the hill climb, like no one really even thinks about how people organise it, and not just you and other clubs around, like, how people even start organising an event, because I've thought about it from time to time, like getting with some friends and hosting a TT and stuff, and I was like, actually, there's probably a lot of paperwork for that, and I don't like paperwork, so I won't do that.
So just moving into you then, and you as a cyclist. What's your favourite discipline?
Road,
Road.
definitely. Yeah, I love road. I've just bought a gravel bike, which I am really enjoying as well. But it's kind of like I got it just like right at the end of the summer, and I didn't quite have enough chance to go out and do it properly before uni started. So then when uni started, we have 2 road rides a week plus like a couple of like extra ones like the women's ride and stuff. So then I kind of kind of like the gravel's kind of like fallen into the background a bit. But yeah, my parents live literally just below Howden.
Right.
So it's really helpful. I go out to them with my gravel bike and then I go up and I can like have a little zoom around there along some of the trails up there and then wash my bike at their house before I take it home, which is really helpful. But yeah, I think road is definitely my favourite. Yeah, to see some beautiful places around here. Like Dartmoor is just amazing. But yeah, I don't like hills though.
No.
That's one thing I don't like. I say I love going to Dartmoor, but it's a painful to get there. Yeah.
I guess that loops back around to what you said earlier with why you cycle is to get out and see the countryside, and especially being on, take Dartmoor for example, you can drive over Dartmoor and before you know it you're over the other side of the stand, whereas on the bike, even though it is hilly, like you can just take in so much more.
Yeah.
And you see things that you wouldn't necessarily see if you were just in your car speeding along.
It's nice being so up hills because then you get to see even more. Yeah, but like it's amazing how like on the A30 it takes probably about half an hour to get from one side of Dartmoor to the other, and I know it's not going directly through the middle of Dartmoor, but like there's so much space that it like around it, like in it as well. I just love cycling there, especially in summer when you get like all the nice weather.
it was quite funny about Dartmoor because I mean it's massive and that sums it up. And doing the 200-mile ride, like if I think of Dartmoor, I think go up Haytor, you got like Widdicombe, and you got that sort of area, and that's Dartmoor. But I left South Molton on that route, heading towards Tavistock, and the welcome to Dartmoor sign is a lot sooner than I thought. And like you get down to Ivy Bridge, and you're still technically on Dartmoor, and it's just without doing that, you kind of forget how big it is and how much there is to like ride and see.
I feel like there's that space kind of like in the southwest of Dartmoor where there's just kind of not that many roads, so no one really knows it's there because like the main ones are all around like up over Haytor and stuff and down Widdicombe, that area. Those are the roads that I've always cycled when I go there, and just like I think Post Bridge is the one that I always go through as well. Like just that area, I've never really gone down into that like southwesty area, which I think they discovered the other day as well when they did the fast ride, like the fast like Movember ride. They were like, oh yeah, this place does exist.
Yeah, it was quite funny because heading down towards Ivy Bridge, like you kind of go up on the moor and then come off it again, and then you head towards Lee Mill, and it's like welcome to Dartmoor. I was like, oh god, I'm going back on it. It's like, what's going on? Like I'm basically in Plymouth.
So obviously you don't like hills, but if you were to pick a favourite hill around that you would suggest a new cyclist was to go and try, which would be your favourite?
Like in Exeter.
It's in the local area. You can pick Dartmoor too.
Okay, that's a really tough question. I think Mamhead would have to be up there. I really like that.
It's a good hill.
Yeah, one of my favourite ones actually, and it's because of my parents living near Howden. I recently discovered it. It goes up from the Tin Valley, and it's a really nice hill, and now I can't remember the name of it.
Is it Longdown or further?
No, it's kind of like between Doddiscomley and Chudley. Trusham.
Yeah.
Trusham. I really like Trusham. It's because nobody's ever on it, and I just love it.
For a second, I thought you were going to say out the Holden that runs along the Telegraph Hill.
No, not up there. That's scary. But also just Haytor in general.
Yeah, Haytor's beautiful.
Yeah.
So in your role, do you get to help pick the routes that you're going out on at various times, or is that someone else, or how does that work?
So we basically have a rota of people who are leading rides each time they go out. So we have like 2 club rides a week, and there's 3 rides on those 2 club rides, if that makes sense. There's the casual, medium, and the fast. So there's 3 different people leading those, obviously, and whoever's leading those that day gets to pick the route. And we try to get it out like 24 hours before so people know where they're going. But yeah, I lead fairly often, so I get to decide fairly often where we go.
Not Trusham, not Haytor, not Mamhead.
Yeah.
Triangle.
Not that bad bit of Dartmoor that we didn't know existed until last week.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've had a couple of requests recently, and I'm just like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go up that hill, actually. I'm not feeling that. You can do that when someone else is leading. That's not me.
I guess it's a weird thing, like, because I ride on my own quite a lot, and when I do ride with people, we kind of mutually decided, like, roughly where we want to go. But being in charge of organising a route for, a mixed ability sort of must be quite a weird feeling going, actually, is that suitable for a group to go up, or it's not just going, let's just go there.
Yeah, so like there's a couple, I love going on lanes, like I absolutely love a lane, but for a club ride, half the time you can't go on them because it's just like people screaming out pothole at each other, like, and it gets quite annoying quite quickly when you're going on a really, really bad surface with a group of people. But I really like it. So there's certain routes that I'll go on by myself, and other routes where I'm like, okay, this is probably good for a group. And it is something you have to think about as well. And like another like wind direction with a group is something that I think a lot of people don't really think about when they're planning it, and I've been a victim of it as well, in that I was like, this will be a great route, and we've turned a corner to come back and just like stopped, like, because it's been that windy. But obviously in a group it's easier, but I think that those road surface and wind direction, as well as wherever the rain is, like those three things are like the things that I check every time I go to put out a route. I'm like, they have to be good. Otherwise, we might have a crisis.
Somehow I always end up on the front when it's windy. Being 6'7", people for some reason like to sit behind me. I don't have that liberty.
Yeah, I choose to sit behind people as much as possible. I'll go on the front for like the first like 10k maybe, and then I'm like, actually guys, I've exhausted myself now. So I like to go to the back and sit at the back. But yeah.
Do you have any more plans for like big rides, or what's the next thing after raising money for Movember?
Well, we don't really have any big rides planned yet, but I think there's definitely potential for, I think a lot of the club really enjoy it, and I think it's really fun for us to put them on. I know that Rachel, who's the women's road captain, and I've been talking about doing like a girls one, like a girls big ride as well. So that would be really, really good. Last year we did one for breast cancer awareness. I mean, that's been and gone now. We kind of focused on Movember a bit more, but we have done other things in the past, and I think there is definitely an opportunity to do more with those kind of big rides. So hopefully we'll get some on.
Are they charities that are linked through the uni, or do you guys as a committee sort of decide, actually we're going to do something for this charity, we're going to do something for that?
With Movember, the uni is like really big into Movember. Like all of the clubs get involved. There's always something going on in like the forum. I think the other day there was like a competition between like all the rugby teams and stuff. Like, do it. I honestly, I walked past it. I walked past it and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to keep walking. But yeah, there's always something happening. And like, I think Exeter's really good at raising money for Movember. I have no idea why it's become such a big thing, but it is. And I think we get a list through pretty much every month from like the athletic union that gives, like, tells us pretty much what's going on this month, what might be going on next month, like what we can plan for. So they kind of help you out in what you can do. They're like, obviously you don't need to do everything. You don't need to get involved in like every single charity, but it would be nice if you got involved in a couple throughout the year. So that's what we generally try and do that.
Yeah. So a few of the Exeter Uni students that I know cycle also do triathlon. Is that, as a cycling club, do you kind of keep yourself to yourself and people decide to go and do swimming and running? Is there separate clubs, or is it more of an all-round endurance group?
There is a triathlon club as well. and we kind of worked a bit more closely with them this year in that we have a joint ride every Thursday. I think sometimes it is a bit difficult because the reason that we have ours on like Wednesday afternoons and Saturdays is because that's obviously the time that no one has lectures on. Like every uni student gets Wednesday afternoon off for like sport or other activities. So like the Thursday morning, it's kind of difficult sometimes for everyone to go to it. But it is there as an option, and I think it has helped people like mix a bit more. But yeah, if people want to do triathlon, it's kind of like a bit of like cycling turning their nose up a bit. But yeah, we obviously in the past there's been quite a few triathletes who have also been in the cycling club and vice versa. So yeah.
I don't know why anyone would want to do triathlon. Running and swimming is the worst part about triathlon.
Yeah, I can't imagine anything worse.
Some people do, I guess, and it's up to them if they want to do that for themselves and become unpopular. I mean,
Also wear socks as well.
No, that's fine. No. So I'm going to ask you some difficult questions. Well, they're not really that difficult. But so, as a female cyclist, what challenges have you had in your cycling?
I think there has been challenges in the past, like in terms of going into a bike shop and then assuming that you have no idea what's going on. Like I just went in to buy some gels and I had it kind of explained to me. I was like, I just want some gels. Like I just need them to go on my ride. Yeah, and then there is sometimes issues with a couple of boys in the club, and I think it's just that they don't really understand it as much. Like on the 200 kilometers this weekend, like there was no problems, but I was like very clear at the start because I was kind of leading one of the groups. I was like, we're not going to have any kind of competition, like no testosterone. We're not going to like kill everybody up hills. Like we're just going to take it nice and like stay as a group, and everyone will have a good time, and just like don't kill yourself essentially, because I think that has been an issue in the past where they've just kind of like, they're like, oh, that guy's going a little bit quicker than me, I'm going to absolutely zoom up that hill. And then there's the girls at the back who like are just want to like push themselves a bit more. But then they get to the point where the boys are like, oh, well, we keep on dropping them. We want to go. And it's like, no, like you've got to respect everybody in the group. And yeah, I think that has been, thankfully it wasn't for me, but some of the other girls have had people be like, oh, can we just leave them behind? Which isn't nice. It's not a nice feeling at all. And it wouldn't be a nice feeling for anyone, but especially not for a girl who's by herself in a group of men. And I don't think people realise what they're doing, but it is kind of there and it exists. But hopefully, I think we've been a bit better this year in that we're not. I've made it very clear that if anyone's being horrible to anyone, it's just not going to stand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're making steps in the right direction, definitely.
Like obviously, you've got the women's only ride, and that's a great thing because you're all together. But I think it's a good thing and a bad thing because it shouldn't get to the point where you should have a women's only ride. Like men and women should be able to go out on the same group ride and just ride as a group and get along. It's a great thing, and it's a good way for more women to get in the sport because then they may feel more, I don't know if accepted is the right word, but they might find it easier to go and ride with another group of girls opposed to like a mixed group. But at the same time, I think
we always kind of like in Freshers Week, we always run the women's ride first so that we can be like, look, you've clearly had a good time today. Why don't you come along to our rides like in the next couple of days as well? And I think it helps that they have that first stepping stone into it, and then they're like, oh, I've really enjoyed this. There's clearly like women around me who are here to have a good time, and then they come along to the next one and be like, oh, well, yeah, there is men around, but there's also those other girls that I was with the other day. And I think seeing that, like, we've always been very, very good at getting women not to just be on the women's rides and go into like the big group rides as well. I think pretty much everyone who came on that women's ride did come along and to one that was a group, like a mixed group ride. And I think it is very important. But I think that first step it needs to be there, because I think the confidence of women in getting into cycling is lower than it should be.
It was quite funny following the Instagram stories, because I follow Catherine on Instagram. She was a support car driver for the 200-mile route, and just seeing all these guys like sitting in a car park, like, and she's there with like packed lunches out. Just
Catherine has a lot of energy. I think at times they were like, how do you have this much energy? Like,
I was going to say her Instagram story from the first stop was the same energy as the last stop, and then the guys coming up the hill, and she was like, oh my god, it's a bubbly character.
Maybe she should have been one in the car.
Maybe she should be on the bike.
And the one leading the group. It's a really good point, though, I think, about like making that first step comfortable and being able to feel like you're part of something and accepted before you then join in with the bravado that can often come with other people. And it's also a bit of a safer space to ask questions, I guess, and there are differences between men and women in physiology, so certain questions you might have about discomforts would be a different solution than a man might have, and the cycling industry is definitely not properly catered for women. Cycling manufacturers, bike manufacturers really don't make things, or they might have a female symbol on it. It's not really been designed with women in mind, it's just something that's been changed ever so slightly and has that symbol on, so it's a safer space for you guys to have some of those more personal conversations. Because cycling can be really uncomfortable, and it doesn't need to be. But women definitely aren't looked at as well or as catered for as men are in the sport. So it must be it's a slightly more welcoming approach, because it's harder to speak to men about things they don't understand as well.
You almost sound like a bike fitter, John.
Almost sounds like a bike fitter, yeah. Well, it's true. We see it a lot with ladies across the spectrum. So things like saddle discomfort, we're all made differently anyway, but saddle pressure is different for women, different for men, and that's just one element. Shoes aren't really designed for women either. Even cycling clothing isn't easy to buy because everyone's different shape and size, and so it's hard to find a brand that necessarily caters for everyone, or you might not know where to look for this or that, or as you said, you went to buy some gels and you got gels explained to you. So that's not necessarily a nice, and if that's for you and you're more a seasoned cyclist, you can probably kind of understand that they're trying to be helpful, but it's not that helpful. Whereas if you were coming fresh into it and that was your first experience, it might put you off, and that's not what we want.
I think I was going to say as well, like with like clothing as well, I feel like there's certain bike shops that I've walked in there and I can only find like the men's stuff, and I know the women's stuff will be there somewhere, but it's just really difficult to find. It's like in back corner, and I think you should be able to find that more easily and just not have to like go up to someone and ask like, oh, do you have this like women's stuff available? I think there is definitely some barriers there, but it's like you've just got to work your way around it, I guess.
Well, I think it's there's work being done, but maybe it's not quick enough. And it really needs the cycling industry to change it, manufacturers to make stuff for women, and then to try and push it more so that it's at the forefront of everyone's mind. And I think quite often people think that because we're all different, that's a difficult thing or a difficult conversation, but it shouldn't be, because we are just who we are. And you know, Aidan's 6'7", I'm 5'8", so there's nearly a foot difference in us, and that makes a difference in what we choose to wear or own, or bikes we ride, and positions we can get in. And it's no different than the difference between man or woman, or the difference between two women. So we need the cycling industry to sort of not focus on 20-year-old 60-kilogram athletes and make everything around them, and actually cater for like individuals and humans rather than just athletes. Definitely. Sorry. I just think it's really important to talk about, and we haven't had one on the podcast yet.
No.
And so it's good to to try and talk to you about it, because I've got my own very specific views. I work with ladies in bike fitting senses, and it's a different set of considerations, because if a woman's had given birth, her pelvis has changed slightly, and that's not catered for either. So the saddle she sat on before and then postpartum potentially should be different.
Yeah.
And those things we need. It shouldn't be a taboo subject.
No.
Because it's a fact.
Yeah.
So we should be able to talk about it.
Exactly.
It's real considerations, but I appreciate talking to men about it isn't always the easiest.
And yeah, I mean, I've always tried to be quite open with it. Like, I've had questions from like some of the boys on like who I've gotten close with on like rides, and I'm like, well, yeah, and I've asked them about like certain things that I'm like, how does that work when you're like sat on a bike? and so like I've just tried to be like, oh, can you just tell me more about it, and like I'll tell you about it, and so that we kind of understand a bit more. And I think it is really important to talk about. And I've always been of the belief that like we just shouldn't hide everything, because it doesn't help when we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just completely agree that like certain things need to be said. Like obviously when a woman gives birth, it's going to be completely different to what it was before. Like that's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Like,
if you start having that conversation, some people feel awkward about it, or don't know how to handle that conversation, or they don't want to agree with you, and you're like, well, but it's considerations. It will affect how you feel on the bike. It will affect how you perform. You're different than you were. So we need to talk about it, and it needs to be considered. And bike manufacturers need to research it, and we need to actually look into it so that we can provide women with better products designed for them, so they can be more comfortable cycling.
It's quite funny because I've ridden in like mixed gender groups and stuff all the time, and you'll get a bunch of guys that it's a bit of an ego race going up a climb and whatnot, and then you get into a conversation with a female about body and stuff like that, and all of a sudden these big macho guys are all embarrassed and like, oh, I don't want to talk about that.
It is really fun. Like one of my housemates who I live with at uni is like this really like big like buff guy, and he goes on about some random stuff, or like he's really big into the gym, and he'll go on about this, and then I'll say something that's kind of cycling related in terms of like nutrition or something. He's like, oh no, but that can't possibly be right. And I'm like, but it is actually. I know that you go to the gym and I go cycling, but like that's kind of similar, and also, but because I'm different to you in terms of shape. Like you need to take that into consideration. He's tried to explain it to me before, and I'm like, but that's wrong. Like, yeah, it is really interesting. You just see them kind of go like, oh yeah, you're a woman. It's different.
So you're quite active in trying to promote inclusivity, but also provide a safe space for women in the cycling club. Was that there when you joined, or is that something that you yourself have tried to push a bit harder?
It was definitely there when I joined. There was about four girls on committee when I first joined, and they'd all joined at the same time. All the girls before that had left and graduated by the time I joined, and they were like, yeah, like we're here to make sure that you're feeling good. And I mean I knew how to ride a bike obviously, but I'd never ridden in a group really. It was like my first time really cycling with men as well. Like I've cycled with my brothers and my dad, but they're completely different to other people. Like I'm used to them.
Yeah.
And so I was really nervous. I remember I showed up and I felt a bit like a fraud because yes, I'd ridden a bike and I had Lycra, but then I didn't have cleats at the time. I was too scared of them. So it was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh, everyone's going to judge me because I don't have cleats. But obviously, no one's really looking at the fact. Like, no one's looking at your feet, really. And I think that they were there to like help me build that confidence. And then I got cleats after Christmas then, and they were like helping me then build that confidence up with being able to unclip and stuff. I went on a couple of rides where I didn't unclip. They were there to help me back up again.
We've all done that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, one of them was like right in front of a zebra crossing. It was really embarrassing. But yeah, there's people around you to make sure that you're doing okay. And they were honestly massive help. And gave me advice on like brands and stuff to wear, and I then got a new bike, and like it was kind of, my dad did a lot of the research because it was kind of a surprise for me, but they were also like helping me like fine tune it and stuff. Like it was really, really helpful to have so many women in the club at that time as well. I mean, we still have that many, but yeah, it was amazing to have that inclusivity, and yeah.
And obviously that was there which helped you through your process. And now where you are, it's nice that you're in the position of helping new and upcoming people coming into it. It's kind of like a repeated cycle.
Yeah.
But obviously you need someone there to start that process. So
Yeah.
the fact that it started and it's still rolling, it's still going is only a good thing, which hopefully will grow even more.
Definitely. It's really encouraging to hear, because there's no reason why women can't cycle, and they shouldn't be cycling comfortably and in big groups and then enjoying it, and to start at university and then take that through life. It's fantastic, because you can already see the benefits of it with your studies.
Yeah.
As life gets harder, so to speak, as you go through and get a job and all those things,
Yeah.
cycling's such a massive benefit for your mental health
Yeah.
and fitness. It's really good. I just wanted to ask really quickly, do you do it's in the group, and I probably should know this, I probably should have done some research, but do you do how to maintain your bike days and stuff, or do you just focus on going out as a group cycling?
We generally have just focused on going out as a group, but it's definitely something that we've talked about a lot, and that it's something we need to start doing. Last year we had Aidan as a sponsor.
Yep.
Yeah, you know them. Like obviously they have their days, but we just never, like maintenance day things, we just never had the chance really to go and do it. It just kind of never materialised. But I think we kind of take it step by step. Like if someone's like, oh, I've never cleaned a bike before, which we've had that before. Like we've had like people be like, oh, come around to my house, I've got all the kit, we can show you exactly what you need to do. Obviously, like if people are feeling I can't remember where I was going with that. But like any kind of like issue with like maintenance and stuff, like I'm just not shifting properly. It's like, oh well, if you do the barrel adjuster, that might help.
Yeah.
If not, we'll take it to this really good bike shop that we know, and he can help you out. It's something that we kind of take it step by step. But I think I think there's something we need to do, in that we have a day where we're like, oh, this is how you do this, and how you lube a chain and stuff like.
There's quite a lot. There's not a lot to it really.
Yeah.
But coming new into it, there's quite a lot of considerations, and you can certainly go down a rabbit hole on the internet and be like, do I need to wax my chain before? How do I do it? And there's so many topics and things you can talk about. There's the bike itself, then saddles, cleats, shoes, clothing, position, fueling, nutrition, weather gear. It's not like jump on your bike and go. There's lots to consider, especially down here when the weather is quite changeable and there is lots of different terrain. It's important to get that right.
Yeah.
So interesting. Okay.
No point looking at those, I can't read those. I've got my glasses on.
Look at Wayne. When you said you had someone that you needed to teach to clean their bike, was that Aidan?
I think it was me actually. I can clean my bike.
Yeah, you went to someone else's house because they had all the kit.
That's just clever. I don't know how to clean them.
No, I remember in first year I had like the first 6 weeks of term, my bike got in an absolute state because I genuinely had no idea to clean it, and my parents were both teachers. And they came down in their half term, and my dad were in the car park of my brother's apartment, because my brother lived down here at that point. And we were out there, and he was teaching me how to clean it just outside. And I was like, okay, I know how to do it now. But yeah, I at the start it was a bit like that, but now I know how to do it.
Good.
And it's the same with anything when you get into it, anything new. Like, for a lot of people starting cycling, they just think, I just need a bike, I just need a helmet, because you should always wear a helmet, and get on a bike and ride it.
Yeah.
And it's not something like running where you can put on some trainers and just go and do it and then come back. You don't maintain things, and things go wrong, and then you find yourself in that situation where you're like, oh, hang on a minute, this is broken, I don't know how to do that, which could be not as common but if you don't know, then you don't know.
Well, again, if you're doing those things and you're at home and it goes wrong, it's not so bad. If you're 30 miles away or 40 miles away from home and it goes pop, and then you don't know what to do, it can be quite daunting. Again, it might put you off doing it, and actually some help. And as you've got this wonderful network of people you can ask about things, and you've actually got the ability to learn from each other, which is great. So
I remember like the first time I got a puncture. Thankfully, it was like a slow one, and I went to go on my bike, and it was just I got to the bike shed where it was, and it was obviously flat, and I was like, I have no idea how to do this. But thankfully, I was at home, and I just messaged the girl I was going to go on a ride with, and I was like, yeah, so I've got a puncture. I have no idea what to do. And she had tubeless, so she hadn't changed one in years. So we were there, both really confused for a bit. And then we figured it out. It was one of those things where it's like, I can't remember what I meant to do now. But it was really great to have someone there to teach me how to do it. And I think the first time someone gets a puncture on a club ride, it's always someone else who fixes it for them.
It's definitely not the first time. I mean, if I get a puncture now, I get it for someone else.
Me. Sorry.
I'm tubeless.
Everything that goes wrong in Aidan's bike, it comes here. I think it's great what you guys are doing. I think hopefully your legacy and what's been built will continue on for many years to come. It'd be really interesting to see what you guys come up with over 2025 and see if there's any other events that we can shout out that you're up to.
Yeah, I think it's just the West Point crits next year, and then also our series, our evening crit series in the Torbay LO Park.
Oh, I hate Torbay.
I did the Bucks, the inter-uni team time trial. I can never say team time trial, it's too many T's. But we the first time that we did it, when I was kind of getting used to the TT bars and stuff, we went there and kind of got used to it was three of us two of us had ridden together a load, but another one hadn't really ridden with us a lot, so we were just kind of getting used to each other off-road before we kind of went out and tested it. And those two corners were terrifying, especially as I was second in line, and the girl in front of me was on the TT bars going around those two corners. I was like, that is brave. I was like, I can't imagine doing that.
There's a fine line between brave and stupid.
Yeah.
It's not fun over there. No. The velodrome isn't, or the velo park.
Yeah,
it's not the greatest to cycle around at speed.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of crashes in those first two corners.
Not good. But thank you so much for coming down there, Libby. It's been really interesting talking to you.
Yeah.
It's nice to get an insight. When we started the show, we wanted to kind of get away from racing and just talking about pros, and we wanted to really involve the community aspect of cycling, which, I mean, as a local university cycling club is exactly that, and joining communities from different subjects and people with different interests into one common place is exactly what we wanted to chat about. And so, thank you for coming down. And
we might invite you back again if you're still around to talk about. So what would be really fun is if you, when you're arranging stuff, you've got stuff coming up, get you down to come talk about that. Yeah. So we can actually talk about it, or after a big event, so we can ask you some questions about how it went, who won.
Won't be me.
And all those bits and pieces, just so we can keep up to date with what's going on at uni, because I think that'd be really good to talk about.
Great. Thank you for having me. It's been
great. So that was Libby. I think that was a wonderful chat with Libby. I'm really pleased she came down and was happy to speak to us. Thank you so much for reaching out to her, Aidan. I think it's a really interesting chat.
Yeah, and as we said from the start, we wanted it to be about community cycling. So yeah, no, it was nice to have someone in a position, that organises events and clubs, and also to talk about women's cycling and get your insight for bike fitting point of view on how it's different. And I think after that, we could work on some YouTube content stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely some stuff we could put together about women in cycling and some of the challenges that they have that men don't necessarily face, and some of the differences in products and bits and pieces. So some good ideas there, and Libby had some good ideas too. So
yeah, and it'd be good to get back down sort of mid-event season next year. Maybe we should talk about some of those events.
Definitely, and I think we should continue to try and build a relationship with Exeter University so that every year we know what's going on their calendar, so we can help support that by putting a podcast together about what they're doing, or at least mentioning it in a podcast and pointing you in the direction of their social media so that you can go and follow them too.
Yes, and for those that might be watching, probably not because we only have 5, but those that might be watching that are just starting uni, there'll be links down below if you want to get into cycling with or a uni club.
You never know, you might have found this because we mentioned Exeter University Cycling Club. You might be looking at going to university in Exeter next year, thinking about cycling. Well worth having a listen so you can hear from Libby, who heads up the cycling there and helps make the decisions, and realise it's a lovely place to go and that you catered for.
Yeah. So, the weekend, John.
Rouleur. We went to Rouleur, Aidan.
I done quite a few steps on my step count.
Did you? Unusual for you.
Yeah. It was good, wasn't it?
It was really good.
It was a nice weekend.
It was. The weekend was lovely. It was nice to spend some time with you and Beth and Vicky.
Thanks. I would say the same, but...
But you spend time with you and Beth all the time.
Yes. No, so it was both of our first times to Rouleur.
Yeah, it was. It was a really... I mean, we're not going to talk about too much, but compared to the other cycle show we went to this year...
Yeah, the unnamed cycling show.
Unnamed cycle show that we shall never, ever attend in Birmingham again.
Yep.
It was amazing. I thought it was really well put together. The whole experience was really high quality. We all left having seen some amazing stuff, looking at brand new tech coming out, meeting some wonderful people, listening to some lovely talks, and I wanted to get on my bike.
Yeah, it made me want to get back on. Well, I did run my bike, but
so
obviously. But yeah, no, it was nice for me. It was one of the first times I've been to something where not only am I around like-minded people, because you can do that every time you go on your bike and ride with people, but to see sort of the business side of cycling, like the tech, and meeting some very nice people, some from some very nice brands. Yeah. And a couple of those were down to you, so thanks for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, kind of, you were the one that met them, so.
Well, yeah, but I wouldn't have met them if it wasn't for you. So.
Maybe not, but I don't know. I think you would have.
Just take the compliment, John.
I will. It's good to introduce you too, because it's we work together in and out of this place at times, and I always talk about offering. I don't want this to be a sales pitch about coming here, but that you can buy a bike, you can get sized for a bike, you can have bike fitting, you can buy shoes and helmets, and you have your bike serviced, and you can also be coached and have your nutrition looked at. And we've got something else we can talk about that we've just announced today, or when we recorded this, which will be 5 days. Anyway, but yeah, it's
Monday. We have an announcement that come out on Monday.
Yeah, which is when we recorded this. But yeah, it's just good to introduce you to those people that I talk to about you when they come down. Oh, he's picking it up. He didn't do anything then. But it's great, and it's nice to see like all of the different bikes, because there were lots of them.
Some very nice bikes.
Very nice bikes.
I did notice some pro bikes there that have obviously been used with a lot of crank rub.
Yeah, which is interesting. And we also listened to Lachlan Morton, and he talked about having an Achilles issue in his recent Australian adventure.
Yeah, it was only a small ride, wasn't it, of 14,000 miles in 30 days.
Tiny little ride, I don't know what he's complaining about really. But he also mentioned Bicycle Fit as a reason for his issue with his Achilles he figured out after the event.
Yeah. what cracked me up is he said to solve the Achilles issue, he got his mechanic to put some flat pedals on and lower the saddle a little bit so he could warm up into the ride for 200 kilometres. Yes.
And then back to his shoes and cleats.
For the other 150.
Yeah. And he realised that his Q factor on the bike he was doing the event on was narrower than the bike he'd been riding.
Yeah, his gravel bike, which he rides all year round, basically.
Yeah. So another good reason why you should have that looked at.
Yeah.
Nice to hear Lachlan talk about it though. And just to hear him talk, really.
Yeah, no, like being an endurance cyclist, like for me, that was one of the people I really wanted to go and listen to, and I was lucky enough when you went to watch a bike fitting video, but I spoke to him a bit afterwards and had my lovely photo with him.
Nice. Yeah.
So I feel important. But yeah, no, so yeah, that was a good talk, and it was when he spoke about everything. Like that could have very easily been a big-headed show. Like, look what I done, but he's not that person. And those that have seen the EF movies on YouTube and Instagram with Lachlan in his other challenges will know that he's not that sort of person, and you know he does a lot for charity and a lot of fundraising. So that was a very good talk.
He does, and he comes across amazingly well and very thought through and humble, and he certainly knows who he is. I always like people that understand who they are and have their identity nailed down, and they're not afraid to be different or themselves. And he's quite an inspiring chap to listen to for many reasons. And yeah, we saw loads of cool bikes. We saw a load of bikes from this brand.
Yep. And that brand over there that you can't see, but
Trek.
Those that have followed the show well will know that my track is always here. So.
It's always here. Brand new bottom bracket installed this morning. Because the other one...
It was worn, but there wasn't like any gunk or...
I mean, there was quite a bit of gunk inside the frame. Not sure how you put that in there. But,
manufacturer's fault.
Yeah. What grit inside the bottom bracket.
I imagine it probably just fell through the bearings and went all the way through.
I reckon you've been pouring it in through the top. But no, we saw some lovely bikes from loads of different manufacturers. We saw...
Load of tech that I've never even heard of, like the Move bike, the indoor training bike.
That was interesting.
Yeah, with which...
Did you ride it?
No, but I saw some people ride it, and it kind of, for those that don't know, it kind of joins the Zwift bike with the rocker plate kind of thing. So like you can steer and it leans, and yeah, it looked like a weird sensation.
It wasn't completely what I would call finished.
Yeah.
It didn't provide me with the experience that I thought it might do.
No, the person I saw turned the bike to the right and almost fell off to the left.
Yeah, and I think it's a bike you'd have to get some used to, like get used to riding it, which it doesn't completely mimic cycling from my perspective, the one I rode, but I don't think they're in production yet, so it might not be a finished model, so it might well be worth something that we keep looking at. But great concept, great idea, but
just need some work.
Just need some work.
Yeah. You finally met the people from Sturka?
I did.
SJ and Rory?
Well, I met Rory.
Oh yeah, no, I met SJ. He was off Gallivanter.
He was. Yeah, we met Rory from Sturka. That's really exciting, what we spoke about. And
some exciting things to come.
Yeah.
Early-ish next year, hopefully.
Definitely, which is really cool. I'm really excited about that. So it's nice to put faces to names. Quite often when you see, we email people or speak on the phone, that's kind of okay, but actually being in the room with people is far more important, more powerful, and you can build stronger relationships. So to actually put faces to names, really good. Yeah. And you met James from Penarello.
Yeah, lovely guy.
Lovely James. And you
asked me lots and lots of questions about coaching.
Yeah.
Which was nice because in my head, like we spoke about who we were going to meet first, and you said, I want you to meet James from Penarello. I was like, lovely, I want to meet him too. So in my head, I'm going, right, I need to know this, I need to mention this, I need to mention this, and basically just led the way. And then you went off talking to Brad, and I carried on for about 5 minutes talking to James.
Yeah, lovely people, aren't they?
Yeah, very nice. And then I spoke to Brad.
Yeah, Brad from Quack. Quack Shoes. Quack is a real person, Brad told us, which I didn't know, but...
I didn't. And Quack have also been making shoes for 15 years, which I also didn't know.
Pretty cool. And Brad also told us that their M3 Air shoe, which is the one at the very top here, it recently had some independence, so a pro had been wanting to ride a pair.
And Bigham.
Yeah, been doing some tests in the wind tunnel, and Quack shoes are as aerodynamic as any others out there.
Yeah,
So.
because he was quite surprised because they haven't done that. They like Brad didn't even realise that was really a thing for testing shoes. Which brings me on to my next question. Are Red Bull Bora hand scroller, I think they're called, aren't they? Are they going to be in Quack shoes?
I don't know.
Because Dan Bingham is the performance engineer for Bora.
You never know, do you? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
No, I'm throwing out there.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
I reckon Bora could be in Quack shoes in the World Tour.
Quite possibly. And I really like them as a brand. I really like what they do as a shoe. I really think they're a great company to work with as well. There's nothing wrong with wearing other brands, but I really like them.
And I mean, I don't wear Quacks, not yet anyway. But like meeting Brad and talking, you can just see the passion that he has for the brand. I mean, obviously you spoke to me about Quacks and the products and a bit about Brad and hopefully get to meet him and stuff. But just the way he was talking about the brand and where they're going and what they want to achieve, you can just see that's someone that is dedicated to that brand.
Definitely.
And I mean, he didn't even have any Quack clothing on the show.
I didn't even know where he's from. There with his Albion hat on and his black jacket. But it's really difficult. Again, I've been telling you about these wonderful people that I get to work with, and you don't know because you've not met them, but now you have. So now you can see why I like working with them. And they provide make a good pair of shoes. Yeah. Who else did we see, Aidan?
Greg LeMond.
We did see Greg LeMond.
He likes to chat, doesn't he?
Yeah. One question, 45 minutes later, he's finished his answer.
Yeah, and I recognise that question, that answer to the question, because I think that he's been repeating that for the last 40 years since he won the Tour.
Oh, he's a lovely guy though.
Yeah, good sense of humour.
Yeah, really nice to hear him speak as well and be in the same room as him, considering what he's done on the bike.
And there were no chairs. No. Well, me and Beth managed to get chairs.
Yeah, you did, but we didn't. And arguably, you don't need one.
I had sore legs.
Yeah.
I had a lot of driving and a lot of walking.
But yeah, so that was good. And then who else did we see? We saw our friend Stefan.
Yeah, Stefan van der Flo.
From
Flow Bio.
No, from Flow Bio. Saw Stefan, and we saw the new production S1, which is an injection molded piece rather than 3D printed.
Yep.
Which they've had a mold made, and I think they're getting them in the next few months. So that's really exciting.
That is very exciting. That goes back to that progress that he was saying in his episode of, taking a step at a time and things will improve and get better. So and I mean it was good to see him again, and not in the sense of sitting him down and asking him questions, seeing him in a more business sort of sense.
But also as we know him, so it's easier to have a chat with him.
And Will, the other guy that was there, he was really nice.
Yeah.
And talking to them.
And possibly Stefan's mum.
I think it might have been Stefan's mum.
We can ask him.
We probably should have done that before we said we think it's Stefan's mum, in case it's like, oh no, his girlfriend or something.
I don't think, no. But yeah, so that was good. And talking to Stefan a little bit more about Flow Bio, and obviously we know a bit more about it now because
I've been using it.
You have been using it, and so that's been really exciting seeing you use it and what's coming, and then seeing Stefan in a more professional capacity, interacting with other people, and there was lots of people at the booth asking him questions too. So it's that's just a good thing, I think.
Yeah, and it was just a good mix of all sorts, like Pinarello, for example, was a big bike brand, but there was the independent bike builders like Bastion. I mean, Envy were in the independent bike. I mean, compared to the rest of the people in that independent bike, they're quite big. Yeah. Sean Kelly? Did you see Sean Kelly?
I didn't personally see him.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. Well, you were doing that though, weren't you?
Yeah.
It's more you thing than me.
Bit of a fanboy moment.
Yeah, not too fussed by people.
I found someone the same height as me.
Did you?
Josh Tarling.
Josh Tarling. He's quite tall, isn't he?
Yeah. He even said, "Oh my God, it's someone the same height as me."
Should have asked him for one of his old bikes.
Well, funny enough, he was stood next to Tom Pidcock's bike.
Yeah.
It was like me standing next to a balance bike.
Yeah, the world's smallest bike.
Yeah, but no, it was a very good weekend, and we saw a lot of tech. You saw some tech that other people didn't see.
Maybe. What did you? Yeah, no, I was just looking at new
No, I didn't.
No, I'm joking. Some products that are coming out next year that haven't been released yet. So a couple of the exhibitors had like a secret room hidden away, where if you work with them, then they would show you the stuff that's coming out next year that they weren't ready to display on the main stands for everyone to see. So that's quite interesting, quite exciting as well to see what's coming out. Lots more innovation and designs, and maybe a bit more aesthetically pleasing and thought through for men and women, which is always really good. So that I always applaud a company that's making a decision with women in mind as well.
Yeah, which links in very well to the chat we had with Libby earlier.
Definitely.
Me being a social media person.
You got spotted.
I spoke to a couple of people from Instagram at first who I didn't recognise.
Yeah. One of them being me. No.
Yeah. But no, it was just, it's like 3 big rooms full of like-minded people. Like,
giant rooms.
Yeah, like me and Beth were having lunch at the catering and got talking to some people from Brighton that do triathlon, for example, and just talking away and just like that, you're in deep conversation because you're all on about the same thing.
Yeah. No, it's just really interesting, and to see how brands try and portray their story and what they're talking about. So like the guys at POC and Cask both had helmets that had been crashed, so you could see what the technology had done, how it saved someone. It's interesting seeing some of the different clothing manufacturers to look at like the stitch lines and things and the styles that they were using. One of the places I looked at and I was like, that's really nice, was the Princeton Carbon Works wheels.
Yeah.
There was a custom Pinarello set made for the Luxter Blue.
Yeah.
With the Luxter Blue colour on the wheels, and I was like, suit you, sir. Yeah, so seeing stuff like that in the flesh, because it's not everywhere, and you can't just go to any shop to see it. So to actually see it and then touch it and look at it.
Alex G's gold.
That was
gold.
Special. Yeah,
like the frame, lovely. I think the cassette, the chain, the valves, the
A-bus helmet,
every bolt,
the
A-bus helmet was a bit too much gold.
Yeah.
But no, very good. And I mean, Trek have always been known for that, but they're Project One bikes.
Yeah.
Very nice. The TT bike kind of re-fired the urge to want to get a TT bike.
And we saw the Pinarello
Bolide.
Yeah. A £45,000 Bolide. That was pretty special.
Yeah.
I didn't like the paint job myself. Wouldn't be riding it, but
no, it's not me.
But the bike itself.
Yeah. That in a black and orange with little glitter bits on it.
With a Trek logo.
Would be lovely. But and also seeing Pro Kit, like Pogacar's yellow jerseys and pink jerseys and Lackland's EF, just reminds me how funny cycling kit is, because it is absolutely tiny.
It is, and the pros are so small. They are just tiny people.
Well, Lackland height-wise isn't short, but there's nothing to him.
Yeah.
Like, at all.
Well, we all commented afterwards how, like, Josh Tarling and Lackland, they stand up and their clothes are just hanging off them. Like, they can't find anything small enough for them.
No. What else did we see? There's some Formula One wheels there.
Yeah. Where else?
Pirelli were there.
Pirelli were there.
Yeah, that's it.
We saw Lake Shoes. Lake were there.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to see what they're up to. Australian brand Lake.
Yeah. I saw Rule 28 had a stand.
Yeah.
Which I've never used their kit, but I know Beth was after a very visible like winter coat, winter jacket, and they have I don't know what they call it, but they took it off the market because they needed some work, and it's coming back in January. Basically highly reflective coat, so when light shines on it, basically it glows white.
Yeah.
Which I know Becky, who I follow, has got the older one, which done the exact same thing.
And they saw I don't know how you pronounce it properly, but the girls, Vicky and Beth, were both really impressed by the cut and the lack of seams on the Pissé clothing.
Yes.
Like,
I'm not sure that's how you pronounce it, but I'm not going to give it a go.
No. But it, like, when you actually run your hand over it, there was no real, like, seams and stitch lines. It was
No.
really close cut, and it looked really comfortable.
Talking of kit, Castelli kit seems old, doesn't it? Seems a bit outdated.
It's not capturing my imagination as it used to.
No, I mean, go back 5-10 years, like it was the top kit.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because there's these other brands that are coming up through and being more inclusive to like women's cycling kit and stuff like that. And
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, personally, I would just suggest an open kit all the way. But
Obviously, you would.
yeah, I still can't talk about that.
No. But yeah, it's a real difficult one. I guess you've got to cater for everyone's needs. But gone are the days of wanting to ride around in like replica team kit.
Yeah.
And too many bright colours. Quite like a solid colour.
And I just found it weird how the Castelli Gabba jacket was on its separate stand to the Castelli stand.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there.
No, I don't know if Gabba is a company that collaborated with Castelli on it.
I think it's just a name. I think maybe because it's got the Gore-Tex, the Gore stuff in it. But
yeah, but like it wasn't advertised as a Gore-Tex stand.
I don't know. Maybe someone will answer in the comments below.
Yeah, maybe Mr. Castelli.
If you know Mr. Castelli. Hello, Mr. Castelli here. So if you do know the reason why that might have been, then please put a comment in the description below. I mean, you could go on about all the different stuff that was there, and there's quite a lot of stuff there, and like loads and loads of independent bike manufacturers as well. Some really nice titanium bikes. There was some really nice custom bikes from loads of different Sato and Stork, and I can't think of all of them off the top of my head.
Bastion were there.
Yeah.
George Fox's Argon 18 was there. I don't know if you know George Fox.
No.
He has got the record for the quickest road bike 10 mile TT on his controversial road bike, not road bike. But they had it there, and it was really cool to. Like I've got George on social media, so I've seen it in photos. I know Alex Dowse had done a video on it, but it was really cool to see it in person because the frame is an Argon 18 TT bike with road handlebars. But the handlebars, I believe, are 3D printed from Mythos.
Right.
Mythos. And it basically drops the hoods like under the bar, so opposed to here, they're like down here.
Right.
And there's like a dip in the top, so his arm in the top of the bar, so his arm can be completely flat when he's holding on. But it was good to see that in person. Monster chainring on the front.
Yeah. Is that the Wahoo stand?
I know it's at the Argon 18s now.
What did I see at the Wahoo stand with the monster chainring?
Probably most of their TT bikes.
Yeah.
There was a teaser.
Oh, a teaser of something from Wahoo.
Wahoo.
Wonder what it could be.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not been leaked on Reddit,
No.
but there is a Wahoo Ace coming. But they don't have one.
No.
I think they're kind of forgetting the fact it was leaked with
Maybe.
photos.
Yeah.
But there's no information, there's no spec on it.
No. GCN
Done a competition. Win one. So
yeah, it's kind of out there.
it's happening.
Yeah. Which would be interesting to see. We'll have to
I've entered the competition.
have you?
Yeah.
We'll have to see if we can get one in. Have a
Yeah.
look. But so that's really exciting as well to see that going on. Ruvi were there, a competition to Zwift.
Beth had a very, very good chat with the woman from Ruvi.
The Ruvi people.
Yeah, because she likes to see, like, people use Zwift and, got Watopia and all the maps, but Beth found it really interesting being able to ride real life places.
Yeah.
Like Sacralobra and
Yeah.
stuff. And I got talking to her, the Ruvi woman, not Beth, from a coaching point of view, that if you're going to do an event or you want to go and ride Sacralobra, it could actually be a good way to sort of recreate without being there.
Yeah, definitely. I've always thought that would be sensible, and a sensible approach anyway, to try and recreate those things at home, so you can when the hard bit's coming, and you know.
And I'm pretty sure with Ruvi you can insert routes.
I don't know. I've not looked at it.
Yeah, I think I've looked into it before because I was looking at using it for client stuff, and I think you can upload a GPX file and include that route. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's Ruvi.
Well, have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good to see them. Didn't see Amy and Kyle. They were there
They
while we
left.
were there, but they left but at some point.
Rude.
Not really. But maybe.
They probably thought, oh no, they're here, let's go.
Probably more to the point.
They did get stuck in traffic on the way home, though.
They did. They certainly did. A long ride.
I think we actually got home before them.
Quite probably. We did. But they did Box Hill on the Sunday.
Yeah, they did.
We just did the epic trek back to the car.
John took us on a goose chase around
John
London.
took us on a goose chase.
So we drove to central London, which was probably the easiest part of the transportation on the entire
And
weekend.
we walked from the car park to Rouleur.
Yeah.
And then when we left Rouleur to walk back to the car
It was
park,
about half the distance.
it was like 10 minutes. And we're like, how can it take us half an hour to walk?
But no, like post Rouleur, we had a nice weekend.
Yeah.
We went out for dinner. London was all Christmassy.
Yeah, and the best thing we saw on the whole weekend.
Oh, white chocolate tiramisu. Vegan white chocolate tiramisu.
And it was the best part of the weekend.
Yeah.
So we're going
That alone, I'm joking, Rouleur was the best.
Yeah.
But that tiramisu was much better than the other cycling show.
Yeah. Well, you'd hope so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's much things that are worse than...
Well, but yeah, so we went to... so it's Vicky's birthday coming up, it's Aidan's birthday coming up. So we went out for dinner, the four of us, and we went to Mildred's in Covent Garden, and we wandered around Covent Garden beforehand, and they'd already Christmasised it. And there was Christmas music and mulled
Wine?
Wine.
No, mulled slow gin.
Yeah, which was really nice.
Yeah, which you shared.
Yeah,
Like
we did.
everything.
Well, we share is caring.
Yeah.
And so we wandered around Covent Garden for a bit, and then went to our meal, which was actually really lovely. And then we had vegan tiramisu, which was just so good.
Oh, it was awesome. It was so good.
So,
I didn't shut up about it.
No, so we're gonna try and figure out a reason to go back to London.
I'm going to try and make it.
Well, yeah, you are. Maybe we should you should make some for the podcast next week. We should then do a taste.
Oh, right, I was going to say, they can't taste it.
No, we could.
Just shove it on the microphone.
We could.
We just sit here.
Yeah.
Today. Yeah.
Good enough. No, needs changing. But and then we came home yesterday, and then we've been in today.
Yeah, here we are.
Here we are again.
Back to reality.
Back to reality. All right, Eminem.
Yeah, but what's next?
Well, Rouleur was great, I think.
Yeah, and I would go again.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go there for the 3 days solely for that.
No.
Because like the stands are the same.
Yeah.
But it would be good to go there for the 3 days, take the bikes and kind of dip in and out to like the certain talks and
go out for a ride.
like Sturka hosted a ride in the morning on the Saturday and
Pinarello did one on the Friday.
Yeah, so like it would be good to sort of do the Rouleur outside of Rouleur stuff.
Yeah, the whole experience.
But yeah, I'll definitely go again. I'll definitely recommend it.
Yeah, if you're ever on the fence about going, and like the visuals there and the stuff they've done, and like they're really good with their design and their aesthetic. And so we got a couple of Rouleur magazines off the back of being there, and
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna
it's
sign up to
quality.
Rouleur.
It's just proper quality stuff.
Yeah.
So
and it's independent.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing that still baffles me, that whole event, the magazine, and it's still independent and run on a small team of editors.
Yeah, which is
who were sat at an editor's room editing the next magazine whilst doing Rouleur Live.
It's just great, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was really good.
But you're right. What is next? What's next in the podcast? What's next week?
Well, I was thinking more. We got Core Bike Chat Christmas party.
Oh, we do. We're going to go back to London for vegan tiramisu.
Yeah, let's not tell the girls.
No, we just
us.
see if we can get up and back in the day after having some tiramisu. Yeah, we do have that coming, and we also need to start my training. That is something that we need to do.
Yep.
So we're going to start doing that. But more importantly, there is an announcement of kind sorts today.
Yeah, next week's podcast will be recorded on Tuesday, not Monday.
Because it's Vicky's birthday.
Yeah.
And it's Aidan's birthday on the Wednesday.
Not next week, it's not. Week after.
Is it?
It's not Vicky's birthday next Tuesday.
No, it's not Vicky's birthday next week either.
So you can't do next Monday.
Yeah, it's the Monday after. Let me check.
You've got to check your own wife's
calendar.
birthday.
It's the
not next
18th today.
Yeah.
25th is next Monday.
Oh, so it is my birthday next Wednesday. So next week is mine and Vicky's birthday. I'm editing this out.
This what you're put up with. So next week is Aidan's
So
birthday.
next week we're recording the podcast on Tuesday, not Monday, because it's Vicky's birthday, and then it's mine on Wednesday.
If only we'd spent the whole weekend together having this conversation.
I forgot it was Monday today. So yeah, next week will be just us again. We won't have a guest.
That's correct. It'll just be you and I. We're going to talk.
I need to finalise a guest for the week after.
Yeah, or not. Depends.
No, you might have someone.
I might, yeah. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a bit worried though, because this will be the first time you're in charge of organising the guest coming on the show.
It's a shame I've not ever organised a guest for anything.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Have you
No.
organised guests before? Have you?
Never.
No.
No doctor.
Sir, mate.
Um,
Is he a doctor?
Dr. Brown May.
And sir?
Yeah.
Is it Sir Doctor or Doctor Sir?
Dr. Sir Brian Harold May. CBE.
God, Jesus, one too many title, isn't it?
Dr. Sir Brian. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so the big news, Mark Cavendish replied to our... No. So those that have us, because you actually accepted the invitation to have it on your social media as well. I don't know why. So we now have one of these.
An S1.
Flow Bio S1, which means...
Our next guest.
Hello, Mr. S1. No, so... As we mentioned earlier... Oh, it's almost getting time. As we mentioned earlier, I've been using the S1.
You have?
For a training week. I've just had a conversation pop in my head from Rouleur. John, come on. I've been using the S1 for a YouTube video showing changes in sweat rate during a training week, and how, surprisingly, I thought I was fueling my hydration right. No, I thought I was hydrating right. Do you need a minute?
Yes, I do.
Right. I'm not drinking enough electrolytes, as it turns out.
No, you're under by not too much, but over the course of a long period of time.
So I done zone 2 yesterday, and I was 1.5, so 1,500 milligrams over a 90-minute. So it's, so I need 1,000 milligrams an hour, and I've been using 500.
Yeah.
So
and that's just on a zone 2.
that's just on a zone 2. Zone 2 indoor, I'm interested to do a zone 2 outdoor to see how it varies with airflow and stuff. But the point of that is we now offer sweat testing.
We do.
Here, in this wonderful premises
Of Core Bike Fit.
of Core Bike Fit in Topsham.
Beautiful Topsham in Devon.
On the accessory.
On the accessory. So what's really been interesting with this, though, as Aidan said, is, I mean, Aidan is a really good cyclist and performs really well and has been improving himself through his own training. But if in the zone 2 he's under on his electrolytes 500 milligrams just on an hour and a half, what effect is that having on you over that longer period of time? And I know when Stefan was in, he talked about like where that line was of still being hydrated enough, but being lighter depending on the amount of fluid you're carrying, versus like going over that line and being too dehydrated
and losing performance.
So it'd be really interesting to see you continue to use it and see what that line looks like for you.
Yeah,
because I think you're probably like just on the side of good on the line.
Just
yeah,
because it'd be interesting. Now I'm aware of it, and I'll be hydrating more. It'd be interesting to see how it changes, and I think I'm going to try. So the YouTube video is following me on a training week, basically doing a couple of different sessions, so like an interval session in zone 2, just an easy cafe ride. And I think I'm going to try and get Stefan to Zoom call me, and I'm going to send him my data so we can
talk about it.
not just me talk about the results and bore everyone with a load of numbers, but also for him to talk about my data in a relatable sense.
Definitely.
Haven't asked him that yet.
No, we can do though, because we're seeing him soon.
Well, you are.
I am.
On my birthday,
Yeah.
which is next Wednesday.
Yeah.
But no, so we have sweat testing available.
And it's more sweat testing. It's more than sweat testing, but we're calling it sweat testing. So if you look for it, it's sweat testing.
Yeah.
It's more like sweat.
It's more, sweat monitoring.
Yeah.
And it's changeable. So, the standard will be like a zone 2 base ride, which will give you a base number for how many milligrams of sodium you need in your bottles. So whether that's a 500 milligram Sturka tab or a 1500 precision hydration or something like that. But it's adaptable and changeable, so those racing time trials can come in here and do a mock 10-mile TT indoors, and get a gauge of roughly what they should be having going into the racing season. That's what I'm going to be using it for.
No, definitely. And I'm going to use it for my training so that we can see if my sweat profile changes over getting fitter.
Which will be an interesting one, because not that you need to, but one of your goals is to not only get fitter but lose a bit of weight.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how your sweat changes to weight loss.
Definitely. So I think we'll come on to this another time, and we'll start recording that series soon, but would be great to see would be weight versus sweat profile versus...
Have like a baseline test. So we'll probably put you through a zone 2 test at the start, and then sort of like halfway, and then nearer the end of your training to see how that base is just tested.
Because what I'd like to do is use it to hydrate, so that I'm hydrating enough to see if that aids in my training being like getting better results quicker.
And also, it's not just on bike.
It's off bike
like,
too.
Those that have seen the short sort of advert that I put out today has got some words taken from the podcast, and it's not just about performing better on the bike, like day to day. Like Stefan was saying, hydrating better has helped him go out in the morning and do a training ride, but he still turns up to the office. He still does a 10-hour day. He still goes out with his friends after work, and he still goes home and does it. The life admin and stuff. And dehydration not only affects like your performance or symptoms like headaches and end of day fatigue and stuff, but it can affect general life stuff.
Definitely. And you don't want your cycling to become detrimental to you, because none of us are doing this professionally. It's a hobby, and but what we are trying to do is see what we can do to understand you as an individual, as a unique individual, rather than tarring everyone with the same brush or saying this rule applies to everyone, and actually going, what do you want to get from cycling, and then help you get to your specific goals as an individual.
So that's the next couple of months. We will have another podcast when we decide what to talk about. This week might be my birthday.
Cycling.
And some birthdays.
Getting older.
So big thanks to Libby for coming down. I'm pointing like she's still there. She's not. But big thanks to Libby for coming down. Really insightful into women's cycling. Definitely. And local community cycling. Little Rouleur roundup about our journeys of getting lost in London and seeing some amazing tech, and some tech that I'm looking forward to next year. And thanks, John, for coming on the show.
You're very welcome. Can I come again?
It's your building. You can come anytime you like.
Nice. I'll be here next week then.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks Aidan.
Yeah.
He's
Ciao.
Aidan King. I'm John Underhill. This is called Bike Chat. Bye.